After using Arrow Lake and the Z890 platform for nearly 10 months, I can safely say that it is the best CPU and motherboard combination I have ever purchased. Here's why. Great price. The Core Ultra 7 265K is the most powerful CPU you can buy today for around $299. Pair it with the Z890 board. I got my CPU plus motherboard combination at $414 plus tax at Micro Center last year, which was a great price for a 20-core CPU with a motherboard. That is less than the price of the 9800X3D alone. And after tuning, it appears that the Core Ultra 7 265K can compete with the fastest gaming CPUs on the market today. If you want close to this level of multi-thread performance on AM5, you need to buy a CPU like the Ryzen 9 9900X, which is a bit more expensive. Game bundles. Since the Core Ultra 7 265K has launched, it has had several game bundles. Last year, when I bought the CPU, it came with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it included the recently released $25 expansion DLC. I was already interested in the game, so it sweetened the deal a bit for me. I also received a bonus download after filling out a survey. I ended up getting the Crysis Remastered trilogy for free. Later on, there was a bundle with Assassin's Creed Shadows and Civilization 7. Then there was a bundle that included Civilization 7 and Dying Light: The Beast. And the most recent bundle, which expired a few weeks ago, was the one for Battlefield 6. At one point, there was even a bundle that came with Star Wars Outlaws, with the purchase of a Z890 board. There was also a time where Intel Gaming sent out an email which gave a code that could be used to download one of 6 games. I ended up downloading Total War Warhammer 3. So in the end, I got 3 free games. 5 free games if you count the fact that Crysis Trilogy came with 3 games. With the purchase of my CPU. Not bad. Not bad at all. My purchase also included a 6-month trial for Uplay Classics, which I have used to try out several games. Great multi-thread performance and performance per dollar. At $299, this is by far the fastest CPU for multi-thread performance. It compares with some Ryzen 9 CPUs in terms of multi-thread performance. Compared to AM5 CPUs at around the $300 price points, it mops the floor with them, offering much higher multi-thread performance per dollar. AM5 CPUs in this price range include the 8-core 9700X. The 8 cores of the 9700X don't come anywhere near to the multi-thread performance of the 20-core Core Ultra 7 265K. Great multi-thread performance per dollar is one of my main priorities when building a PC. Great gaming performance after tuning. At $299, this CPU is comparable with similarly priced CPUs on AM5 in gaming before tuning. But after tuning, this CPU can become a bit faster than CPUs like the Ryzen 7 9700X. In fact, after tuning, it appears that it can perform more in line with the fastest gaming CPUs on the market today, like the 9800X3D. In order to get up to this level of performance though, you will need a Z890 board, a good kit of RAM, like one using Hynix MDI for example, which can be overclocked to DDR5 8000 or higher, and will need to manually overclock both your CPU and memory. In a separate video, I showed the values that I use in my personal overclock, and my overclock is very similar to the one reached in the PC Games Hardware article, where the Core Ultra 7 265K after tuning was comparable to CPUs like the Ryzen 7 9800X3D. Easy to cool. I am using a $30 air cooler on my Core Ultra 7 265K. I recommend that most people use a bigger cooler than this, since I had to slightly lower core voltages to keep my temperatures from throttling during full multi-core loads. But in my current setup, I am able to run Cinebench 2024 multi-thread test without thermal throttling. That is very impressive when using only a $30 air cooler. I am able to get better than stock performance, much better in some cases, while keeping my machine cool with this CPU cooler, thanks to the overclocking and voltage tuning I have done. Z890 platform, and overclocking support. Z890 has all the latest features such as support for PCIe 5 SSD, PCIe 5 GPU, and multiple additional PCIe 4 SSDs. Many Z890 boards also come with Thunderbolt support. I plan on trying to use this with the laptop that I recently purchased to try to get Thunderbolt share working. One of the things I like about the Z890 platform is the overclocking support. I have been overclocking CPUs for many years, and Z890 has become my favorite platform to overclock. Overclocking the Z890 platform has been very enjoyable. It was easy to take my DDR5 6400 kit all the way up to DDR5 8200 and get it stable. The only thing holding back my overclocking ability is my $30 air cooler. I kinda wish I kept that 280mm all-in-one, as I could then clock my CPU even higher. But even with the $30 air cooler, I am able to get excellent results which allow for faster than stock operation while keeping the system at around 200 watts when under full load scenarios like Cinebench 2024. Take a look at these results from PC Games Hardware. They were able to get quite a substantial improvement in gaming performance through the help of overclocking. I have noticed some solid gains in overclocking myself in certain games, but since I am using an RTX 5070, I am more often GPU limited, but I still have seen some very nice improvements thanks to overclocking. It's hard for me to find CPU limited games at the settings I use, but this is one example I found a while ago when I was testing the Core i5-13600K. In Severed Steel, at the beginning of the church level with max settings and RT enabled, the FPS of the 265K with stock XMP 6400 memory, the result is 64 FPS. This increases to 75 FPS with my overclocked settings. That is a massive 17% increase. That is almost like going up a tier in GPU performance. But it's still not quite where I would like it to be in this particular game. So in a game like this, where the frame rate isn't at high refresh levels, I would add something like smooth motion frames. The smooth motion frames has increased the FPS to 141. Now I have the look of high refresh on my display. But comparing the raw FPS, we saw a very solid 17% performance increase with my overclock above the stock XMP system. I plan on doing a video taking a look at some further games if I can find CPU limited scenarios with an RTX 5070 with settings that I actually use when gaming. In Y-Cruncher, the 2.5 billion calculation finished in 53.5 seconds on the stock plus XMP setup. With my overclocked settings, the total computation time was reduced down to 45.2 seconds. Compared to Techpowerups, this puts my overclocked settings at the top of their charts. Thoughts on platform longevity. Some people might say that Z890 is at the end of the road, but there seems to be a refresh of Arrow Lake CPUs coming to the platform, so it's not over just yet. If the refresh gets another 5%, it will be like going from Zen 4 to Zen 5, but realistically, for me, platform longevity doesn't really matter. When I was on AM4, I used to have an X470 board. It ended up getting support for PCIe 4 for Zen 2 CPUs with a BIOS update. But when Zen 3 came about, AMD removed PCIe 4 support for their 400 series boards. I did end up getting a 5800X at one point, but I could only use PCIe Gen 3 with it. This soured my opinion of platform longevity, since old boards sometimes do not have the latest features of new boards. Today I don't mind upgrading motherboard and CPU at the same time, as I find that motherboards tend to hold their value quite well. I don't know if I just got lucky in selling, but in the past, I'm talking 2013 to 2020 here, I used to regularly make about $100 profit when selling my old boards. Boards from Z87, Z97, and X470, I sold for over $100 what I originally paid. And in the case of X470, I took advantage of this fact, and ended up buying and selling about 15 X470 boards while making around $1,500 of profit. Sadly, I am no longer able to do this, but with that $1,500 I made selling those 15 X470 boards alone. Unless I do something stupid, my motherboard costs are pretty much covered indefinitely, since I still sell my old boards to upgrade to the new one. More recently, I get close to what I originally paid, which is still great in my opinion, as newer boards offer better features, better support, and a new warranty. When I sold my Z690 board last year, for example, I only lost around $20, which is basically nothing when you consider I owned the board for a little over 2 years. The sale of the Z690 board earned me around $140, which is around the same price that I paid for my Z890 board, while getting additional features and the ability to reach much higher memory speeds. The platform longevity angle is meaningless to me. If I get a new CPU, I would rather pair it with a new board if the new board has better features, better overclocking, or better memory support. As long as new motherboards get new features, I do not care about platform longevity, since I want the board with the latest features to go along with my new CPU. Today my PC is more powerful than it has ever been, and has more devices hooked up to it than it has ever had. I am running two 1440p monitors, an IPS LCD running at 120Hz in portrait, and an OLED monitor running at 240Hz. My Z890 platform is paired with an RTX 5070, which was the best GPU for my machine at the time of purchase, since at that time the RTX 5070 was the only current gen GPU that was available at the MSRP. A lot has been said about gaming performance of Arrow Lake, but in my experience, the performance is quite good, especially after overclocking. I have been running my machine overclocked since I got it nearly 10 months ago. There has never been a time where I felt I needed more CPU gaming performance while using this machine. If anything, I need more GPU performance. But in those cases, I can enable things like frame generation on the RTX 5070. And in games that don't support frame generation, I can enable the NVIDIA driver level smooth motion frames. But I wouldn't use a $1,500 machine just for gaming. I recently picked up a MIDI keyboard, which I am using to make music and improve my musical skills. I also use the PC for content creation, such as rendering the video you are playing right now. I also have a capture card hooked up to my machine, which allows me to capture videos from other devices. Gaming is only a portion of what I use my PC for, and in my experience, the 265K excels not only in gaming, but it also excels in every other thing I throw at it. The Z890 platform has great connectivity options, and it even has Thunderbolt built in on most boards. And the overclocking support allows the 265K to reach much higher performance than was shown in launch day reviews. My PC is much better today than it has ever been. That's why I say the 265K plus Z890 combination is my greatest CPU plus motherboard combo ever. Thanks for watching.